Welcome to the FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly podcast series hosted by Jason Ayres, a top instructor, trader, and founder of OptionSource.net. Join Jason as he discusses the latest trends in the Forex market with a look ahead on the US dollar versus the major currencies using the most commonly used technical indicators.
Well, hi there, and welcome to the ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for April 25th, 2011. As always, this is Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net. Let's start off with a look at a weekly chart of the US dollar index. This is a great way to gain perspective as to how the dollar has been trading against a basket of currencies. While the US dollar continued to lose ground last week after a fairly significant rally, the index finished the week with a test of 74. Now, until we see consolidation above the 76 level, the trend remains down. It is important to note that the next significant support for the index sits down at this 70-71 focal zone. Let's take a quick look at a daily snapshot. The daily chart reflects last Friday's test of 74. This level should act as a short-term support this week. However, until we see a break back above 75, once again, the trend remains to the downside for the dollar index. Next up, the CDD, the U.S. versus the Canadian dollar. Well, the CDD broke below 75 last week, but closed back within that zone on Friday. Now, the 97.98 focal zone remains a key overhead resistance, and although we may see a bounce this week, the trend remains to the downside with the possibility of a test of this 92.93 focal zone as the next support level. Well, let's take a look at the U.S. dollar versus the Japanese yen as seen here in the ISE FX Options pair value, YUK. Well, the YUK continued to slide lower last week, slicing through support at 83 and continuing to test the 81.82 level. Now, this level should hold as support, lending credibility to a bounce. However, the trend remains to the downside. Next up, the EUI, the US versus the Euro. Well, the EUI tested the 68.69 level as expected. Now, a bounce here is likely to meet resistance at 70. However, failure to hold at 68 lends credibility to a continuation to this downtrend that has been enforced for quite some time. Let's take a look at the US dollar versus the British pound as seen here in the BPX. While the BPX dropped below support at 61, this lends credibility to a test of this 59.5-60 focal zone for support. We may see a retracement after such a significant drop. However, the 61 level now becomes a key overhead resistance. Let's take a look at the US dollar versus the Australian dollar as seen here in the ISE FX Options pair value AUX. Well, the AUX tested the 92.93 focal zone here for support, and we should see a bounce here this week. However, this 95.96 focal zone now becomes a very important overhead resistance level. Until we see a break back above this 95 level, the path of least resistance continues to be to the downside. Finally, let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, the US dollar index bounced at 75 as expected, but quickly reversed to trade as low as 74 last week. We should see a bounce here, however, until we see consolidation above 75, the trend still remains down. The CDD dropped below 95 last week, but closed Friday above the 95 level. A break above 96 lends credibility to a possible reversal. However, the trend continues to the downside. The YUK failed to hold support at 83 and is now testing the next support at 81. We should see a bounce off of this level this week. The EUI continues to trend lower, testing the 68-69 range for support as expected. We should see a bounce higher this week. However, the trend remains to the downside. The BPX failed to hold 61, continuing lower towards a test of this 59.5-60 focal zone. We should see a retracement higher after such a big drop. However, the trend remains down. The AUX continued to drop, testing the 92.93 focal zone as expected. We should see a bounce this week. However, the 95.96 level is an important overhead resistance. And this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for April 25th, 2011. As always, this is Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net, reminding you to sign up for your free workshop at www.optionsource.net. Thanks for joining me here this week. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary, visit www.fxoptions.com. Become an OptionSource.net member. Visit www.optionsource.net. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.